Is Zab Judah Hall of Fame worthy? We answer that next. Please like and subscribe. Help us hit 10,000 subscribers. Please share on all forms of social media. Leave us a comment. Welcome to another episode of Friday Check Hook. After a major scare, Zab Judah is doing great. He's out of the hospital after suffering that brain bleed against Cletus Selden last week in his fight at the Turning Stone Casino. Physically, Zab is fine. He's doing much better. They said he was talking. He was coherent immediately after, the next day while he was in the hospital. He was released a few days later. So physically, Zab is doing fine. His career, however, is not. Obviously, his career is over and not a minute too soon. It was really sad to watch such a great fighter that Zab was deteriorate. It's different when you watch a boxer deteriorate than any other athlete. It's not like if you're a baseball fan watching Jose Reyes for the Mets last year just be like one of the worst players in baseball, or Kobe or Paul Pierce if you're a basketball fan, watching them just absolutely deteriorate and not be able to guard anyone or blow past anyone anymore. When Kobe's last year in the league and Pierce's last 2 years in the league, really, they were way past their expiration date and they weren't a shell of the former player they were. Watching Zab's not like that. Watching a boxer past his prime, watching a boxer with deteriorated skills is not fun. You're watching him get beat up, and that's not really cool. You can see the skills and the craftiness that Judah had, he possessed, right? Like, you can see the angles and the craftiness and the skills. It's just one of those things where his legs will no longer do what his brain tells his legs to do. He was a shot fighter, to say the least. Zab was stopped in the 11th round by Cletus Selden. Judah finishes with a career record of 44-10 with 30 knockouts and is a 6-time world champ. Is that enough to get him into the Hall of Fame? The answer should be yes. And it should be a resounding yes. Zab may not have lived up to the incredibly high expectations that he was hyped up with back when he turned pro in Miami in '96. The expectations for this guy was that he was going to be the next great thing. He was going to be the next great junior welterweight and welterweight. Well, he never lived up to that hype and gloss, which would be almost impossible to actually live up to. He had a good career. I mean, there was so much hype on him. If you remember his pro debut in Miami, then his second pro fight was at Madison Square Garden on a Roy Jones Jr. card, and he looked spectacular. And then, the next year or so, next couple of years, he won a 140-pound strap over John Piet Bergman via fourth round KO. It was a belt that was vacated by Teron Millette. Judah went on to make things official with Millette a couple months later, stopped him also in the fourth round. He took 2 defenses within 6 months of winning the belt, one against Junior Witter and then Millette. This was a fighting champion. This was not a guy who ducked and dodged and everything. Judah was a fighting champion. Winning the title at just 22, Judah would defend it 4 times in the next 11 months, becoming the fastest rising star in the boxing world. Right, the fastest and the brightest star in the boxing world. Zab was incredibly skilled, incredibly fast and crafty, excellent punching power, tricky southpaw with pop. I mean, there was everything to like about Zab. And he had an excellent career. Let's be real. Zab is a top 10 140-pounder ever. He had a better run at 140 than did Swift Garcia or Terrence Crawford. If you're shaking your head at me, yes, it's true. Look at 140, from what he did from 96 to 03. That's a 7-year run, almost an 8-year run. He has wins over Chop Corley, a prime Chop, Darryl Tyson, Reggie Green, Hector Quiros, Junior Witter, and Mickey Ward. Only losing to Costa Zoo in the infamous chicken dance, knockout fight. Look, those wins, Chop, Darryl Tyson, Reggie Green, Hector Quiros, Junior Witter, Mickey Ward, that's more quality names than either Crawford or Garcia put at 140 with just the one loss. Then he went to 147 and became undisputed. The last man to ever accomplish that feat, stopping Corey Spinks and becoming undisputed. He also beat Rafael Pineda at 147. That's his run. That's his career from 96 to 2005. Just based on that, nothing else. We can get to everything that happened from 2006 and beyond after. Right now, we're talking from 96 to 2005, that decade-long run. That makes him a Hall of Famer. That alone. It doesn't matter what happens afterwards. That was his prime. His prime years puts him in the Hall of Fame based on his accomplishment. 2-division world champion, undisputed at 147, and one of the top 10 140-pounders ever. He's a Hall of Famer. What happens after the prime of his career? Like, he had an incredibly young prime of his career. But so did Morales, though, right? Like, so did Eric Morales. And he got beat up by guys like Danny Garcia and stuff like that later in his career. But what he did in his prime can't ever be taken back. If you look at other guys who've been inducted into the Hall of Fame, my guy, Fort Worth's own, Donald Curry. Check his resume compared to Zab. Zab's is way better. Look at other guys. Ingemar Johansson, Barry McGuigan. Like, Zab resume, those guys' candles don't hold those guys' resumes don't hold a candle to Zab Judah. Zab should have been Fighter of the Year in 2000, universally recognized as Fighter of the Year in 2000. Not only did he capture his first world title, the IBF 140-pound strap against Bergman, he successfully defended it over the next couple of months. In an 8-month span, he defended it against Junior Witter, Teron Millette, and Hector Quiros. Then took on Reggie Green in January of 2001. That's an incredible run for a 22 to 23-year-old new world champion. That's a fighting champion. 4 times in less than 12 months he defended that title. Who does that nowadays? You know, a decade or a half later, who does that? Absolutely nobody. Zab was a fighting champion, fought everyone. If you just look at who Zab fought throughout his career, it is one of the most impressive lists of names, of top names, of any fighter that's ever lived. Really, look at the caliber of fighters he's fought over really 2 generations of fighters. Look, what happened to Zab at Madison Square Garden against Carlos Baldomir and thereafter is irrelevant to his Hall of Fame discussion. He had already amassed a Hall of Fame career from 1996 to 2005, a dominant 10-year run, where he became a 2-division world champ and undefeated at 147, one of the glamour divisions, one of the money divisions. That's Hall of Fame. That is Hall of Fame. Not to mention he went on to get a few more decent wins against Matisse and Vernon Paris and the like. And a fight with Danny Garcia, which was a great fight of the year candidate, which I thought he won. A lot of other people thought he won. That's irrelevant. Nothing you do after your prime, so long as your prime is 10 years, which his was, can be taken away from you. Right? Like nothing, your prime is long enough, you had a 10-year prime, and nothing you do after that can take away what you've done. So you had a sustaining career that crossed over multiple weight classes, won multiple titles. He's a Hall of Famer. What happened in the Khan loss, or the Floyd incident, or the Kodov loss, or the Cletus Selden beatdown last week, none of that can take away what this man did from 96 to 05, which is Hall of Fame worthy. Zab may not have lived up to the impossibly high expectations set upon him as a young kid. You know, turning pro, when he turned pro and he won his first 2 fights, and the second one on the Roy Jones card, I mean, this kid had to be Roy Jones Jr. or he was going to be a disappointment. Right? There's no way he could exceed expectations, but in order to meet expectations, he had to be like the next Roy Jones Jr. That wasn't going to happen. I mean, Roy Jones might be the GOAT. And you say, oh, well, this kid can be the 140, 147-pound version of that. Let's be realistic. There's never been a Roy Jones Jr. before, and we're going to be waiting a long time for another one. But Zab, that doesn't change the fact that Zab didn't live up to the incredibly high expectations. That doesn't mean that Zab didn't have a Hall of Fame career, because he did. He's incredibly crafty, incredibly skilled. He has great wins. And he fought everybody. He ducked nobody. He was a fighting champion who fought everyone. If you think he's not a Hall of Famer, which I know a lot of you do, tell me why. Tell me what he did from 96 to 05 that you think should exclude him from the Hall of Fame. I don't want to hear that he lost to Cletus Selden, that he lost to this guy, that he lost to Paulie Malignaggi. I don't want to hear that. We're talking about his prime years, not what he did after his prime. Tell me about his prime years. Again, he may not have lived up to the impossibly high expectations, but what he did is more than sufficient to put him in the Hall of Fame, where his legacy can live on forever with the heroes of the sport. 3D Boxing looks forward to seeing Zab Judah inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame in Canastota, New York, in the class of 2025. Please like and subscribe. Help us hit 10,000 subscribers. Please share on all forms of social media. Like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon. Help us hit that 10,000 subscriber mark for another episode of Friday Check Hook. This is 3D Boxing from Texas to the world, saying thank you and God bless.
Enjoy 3D Boxing vlog videos? Show us some love by clicking the like button. Don't miss a tweet, post, story, or video. 3dboxingvlog.com is also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hit the subscribe button now to stay inside the ring.